Previously on Connor's Game Room.
Who are you?
I'm the ghost of Christmas future.
Isn't it Halloween?
I'm here to show you the dark side. You gamers need to be put back on track.
You're wrong!
I don't like it! You're just another fool that I have to deal with. I'll find a way to get you gamers. You haven't seen the last of me!
And now.
Hey, get the hell out of here! Go, get! Merry damn Christmas. I know it's only October, but after last year where I almost got murdered, I decided, no more Halloween episodes. As of right now, I'm on a 3-month Christmas binge. The only thing I have to be horrified about is the shelf life of eggnog. I'm sure that's nothing. So don't mind me, I'll be boycotting the ghouls and or goblins this year in favor of Yuletide blessings and patented video game mechanics. Oh yeah, that's right.
The patent system, a legal framework giving you the power to stop anyone from copying your invention, in exchange for publishing an instruction manual on how to copy your invention. Thank God, now I have a guide on what not to do. I'm tired of waking up only to find that I accidentally made a Nintendo Switch in my sleep again.
Damn it!
There are tons of patents relating to video games, not just consoles, but also specific controller designs like the cross-shaped D-pad on Nintendo controllers, or even specific game mechanics. Did you know that Pokeballs are patented?
Well, I'm just holding this for a friend.
It can be kind of fun to look at the kinds of things game publishers thought were worth locking down with a patent, like this one. A game performing method for executing a game by arranging a plurality of objects comprising a plurality of objects to be stuck in an operation object in a virtual space, controlling rolling and movement of the operation object according to the player's input. Geez, I wonder why they didn't put that on the box. Katamari, the world's only legally enforceable monopoly on rolling stuff up into a ball games. Oh hey, look at that. This was published by Namco, later known as Bandai Namco, who are somewhat notorious for holding patents on quite a few video game mechanics. Katamari involves rolling a ball around that picks up anything it touches, slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger and causing more and more chaos in the surrounding world. This was an incredibly unique idea for a game, and back in 2004 it was pretty technically impressive too. Rendering this many objects on the PS2 was a challenge. They had to come up with a system to sort of merge everything into one object as the ball got bigger, but while still making the outermost layer look like a big mass of different objects. But with the power behind modern consoles and physics engines, it seems like there'd be some pretty huge potential for a game like this. Unfortunately, the last new Katamari game that wasn't a remaster or a spin-off came out in 2011 on the PS Vita, and since the patent doesn't expire until 2026, no one else has been allowed to take a crack at the giant balls genre. At least we are finally getting an actual new Katamari this month, conveniently right before the patent expires. Speaking of Namco's patents, they also have a lock on fighting game tutorials. Combos are incredibly important to people who don't play fighting games by just throwing their controller into a blender, and having a system in-game to teach you how to pull them off can be incredibly valuable. Most fighting games have an incredibly high skill ceiling and intense competition, so they can be intimidating for new players to get into, which is why most of them have some kind of training mode to let you get a feel for the controls and the combo timings. But Namco's Tekken franchise stands above the rest with its incredibly detailed combo tutorials, with on-screen button prompts and audio-visual cues when you hit the right timing. It makes it much easier and even downright satisfying to learn all those complicated combos, but the patent meant that until 2020, no other fighting game was allowed to implement a similar system, so you had to stick to the good old-fashioned book learning. I was surprised to find out that Xbox's achievement system is also patented, mostly because nearly identical systems are in place on both PlayStation and Steam. Just because something is patented by one company doesn't necessarily mean that all other companies are completely forbidden from using it. There are a few ways Valve and Sony could sidestep Microsoft's patent. The easiest would be simply licensing the technology from Microsoft. By paying a licensing fee, they'd be free to implement an identical system on their own platforms, at the cost of financially supporting their own competitor. In some cases though, that might be worth it. For example, both the Xbox One and the Series X make use of patented Blu-ray discs, developed in part by Sony. Microsoft was able to demonstrate how Xbox achievements led to more engaged players, so it's very possible that Valve and Sony figured whatever licensing fee they were charging would be worth it in the end. This would also explain why Nintendo has insisted on being the only big console maker without any kind of achievement system. They've traditionally been resistant to sharing the same ball pit as the rest of the big three, and they probably figured that their wealth of beloved and exclusive IP would be enough to keep their own players engaged. Another option would be to work around the patent to come up with a similar but legally distinct system. The crux of Microsoft's achievement patent is the gamer score, a number of points awarded for each achievement that get added to a total which can then be added to your Tinder bio. Which might be why Sony chose to rebrand achievements as trophies, and instead of assigning points to them, they give each trophy a tier of bronze, silver, or gold, as well as the platinum trophy for 100% completion. The innovation theory kinda falls apart once you consider the fact that Steam achievements don't really do anything different from Xbox other than omitting gamer score. The third option is that Microsoft just doesn't really care and hasn't bothered to take any legal action about it. Ultimately, we'll never know. What we do know is that Microsoft tried to patent their own innovation on achievements by tying them to watching TV. If you were around in 2014, you remember how Microsoft was absolutely dead set on selling Xbox Ones to people who didn't give a shit about video games for some reason. In an era where people were abandoning cable in favor of Netflix faster than ever, Microsoft went ahead and put an HDMI input on the Xbox One so you could watch TV on your Xbox One, which was connected to your TV anyway. What was the point of this? Well, at least you could use it for sacrilege if you wanted. Look at me, I'm playing a Wii U on an Xbox One. God has no power here. This starts to make a little more sense if you look at the patent Microsoft applied for in 2011 for awards and achievements across TV ecosystem. Essentially, Microsoft wanted to build up a more engaged TV audience by giving out achievements for things like watching a live event like the Super Bowl or catching every episode of a show. They even wanted to use the Kinect to award achievements for actually watching an ad instead of looking away or leaving the room, or even give out rewards in a game for holding up a specific product. Imagine if you could earn V-Bucks by flashing a bottle of Bix Baby Dills at your TV, and that's the future Microsoft wanted. This patent was quickly abandoned, probably after Microsoft saw the overwhelmingly negative response to the Xbox One's TV integration and realized that, hey, maybe spying on our users with a camera that we forced them to put in their living room if they wanted to play Recore is actually a bad idea.
Well, better late than never, I guess. Hey, this is a strict no haunting zone.
You can't escape, Connor. You must confront your past sooner or later.
Back to hell with thee, demon.
Try as you might, you can't hide forever. The past will catch up to you. You must be prepared.
I swear, they get less scary every year.
Now, of course, protecting your innovations does make some amount of sense, but you can take it too far. Like EA and BioWare filing a patent for the dialogue wheels used in Mass Effect and Dragon Age. I mean, really? Is that really an innovation worth going that far to protect? Sure, it's a little easier to look at than a big old dialogue box, but are you really gonna boost sales by putting rectangles on the box? This was probably just an attempt to squash competition in the RPG market, but it's not like BioWare could patent RPGs with in-depth character development and dynamic stories, so they had to find something else unique about their games to lock down.
I got it! Circles!
So was it worth it? No, obviously not. It's not like Obsidian realized they couldn't use dialogue wheels halfway through making The Outer Worlds and said, "Pack it in, boys, bankruptcy's in this season." Hell, Fallout 4 even found a similar way to simplify dialogue without infringing on BioWare's patent by just assigning dialogue choices to the 4 face buttons on the controller. And people hated it so much that PC modders removed it in favor of a traditional dialogue box. Though maybe EA's just learning from their own mistakes, considering they were sued over a similar patent back in 2003. The Simpsons Road Rage, the game that makes everyone say, "I thought it was called Hit and Run." No, this was a different game, published by EA and Fox Entertainment, and is ostensibly just a complete ripoff of Sega's Crazy Taxi. And in 2003, Sega sued EA, Fox, and the developers Radical Entertainment over patent infringement. Apocryphal knowledge across the internet maintains that despite basically being a one-to-one copy of Crazy Taxi, the main patent being infringed on was the arrow hovering over your car pointing at your destination. But there is a bit more to it than that. Sega wanted Crazy Taxi to be in an open city filled with pedestrians, but to put it in their own words, in a case that the free drive in the town is enabled, the game players might collide with people in the virtual space, but images of hitting people must be avoided because recently it is strongly required to avoid cruel game images. Or, in English, Sega didn't want Grandma to see little Timmy commit vehicular manslaughter. That's why they developed a system which was included in their patent filing where the player's car would have a danger zone around it that would cause pedestrians to leap out of the way. And because a similar system was used in The Simpsons Road Rage, not only was Sega able to bring EA to their knees and force them to settle the lawsuit, they also made sure that every other open world racing game to this day had to either pretend pedestrians don't exist or let you barrel into them with impunity.
Your time is wasted here. You can't spend another moment ignoring your fate. Even now, your enemies are gathering, planning your demise.
Nothing says Christmas like a good bit of kitchenware-based violence.
See, that's the thing about patents. Sure, they protect inventors and innovators from having their work stolen, but the system was designed for an era where light bulbs were revolutionary. Allowing patents to be issued for piddly bullshit like a dialogue wheel isn't protecting anyone. It's just clogging up the court system with dumbass arguments about whether or not you're being different enough.
No, Your Honor, you see, this is a conversation rhombus.
How are you supposed to come up with new and innovative game mechanics if you're constantly worrying about whether or not someone with a bigger legal budget than you has already patented it? When I was in like 5th grade, I remember playing RuneScape, grinding out levels by killing goblins when I thought, wouldn't it be cool if the goblin killed me and then it leveled up? Clearly, Warner Brothers thought the exact same thing because about 9 years later they released Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor with that exact mechanic. The Nemesis system always comes up whenever anyone talks about video game patents. It's a really cool mechanic where any random cannon fodder enemy could get in a lucky hit and take you down, and then rise up the ranks of the orc army and become more and more powerful. Imagine what else could be done with this, like a racing game where your rivals get better and better cars as they win their own races. Or maybe a game where you play as the villain in a slasher movie, and if you let any of the plucky teenagers get away, they'll come back with a whole mob you have to fight off. Or maybe... At least patents expire after a while, but even after a patent expires, you still rarely see those patented mechanics get used afterward. Sega's Crazy Taxi patent expired all the way back in 2018, yet there's still been a severe lack of games in the kooky chauffeur genre. Mini-games during loading screens, Final Fantasy's ATB system, and like half of the patents I've already talked about have expired already, yet you rarely see any of them ever get used. Even if it's a really cool idea, it's just not worth the risk. Having all these patents issued to giant companies for all the minutia that goes into a game just makes developing a new game a minefield of potential lawsuits, especially for smaller devs who can't afford the kind of legal expertise required to navigate them. Oh yeah, we'd like to make a new game, but EA has a patent on characters who wear shoes, and Sega has a trademark on playing games on a Tuesday, and Nintendo.
Oh yeah, Nintendo.
What the fuck is your game, buddy? Nintendo's been on a warpath against Pocket Pair, the makers of Pal World, hitting them with lawsuits over their patents for the Pokemon series that were granted after Pal World came out, all because of some fucking loophole where they're all based on some old patent from 2021 or something. I don't know, who could figure any of this shit out? It's not like Pal World is even the first game to parody Pokemon. Why does Nintendo have such a huge hate boner for this game in particular? Is it because a couple people implied that Pal World could possibly be an appropriate substitute for Pokemon? That squirrel has a fucking gun. No one seriously believed an overly edgy, early access survival game in the Unreal Engine by an indie studio had the potential to dethrone the single biggest media franchise ever. They were just talking shit to get views on their stupid articles and their YouTube videos, and now suddenly Nintendo has a patent on throwing balls to summon creatures. Well, good thing I only use mine to summon barbecue sauce. Come on, how the hell is that allowed? Does that mean I can file a patent for games that run like ass and then sue Nintendo for putting out Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? They could have actually tried to learn a lesson from Pal World and tried implementing some more interesting features into the next Pokemon game. You know, the way competition is supposed to work. And hell, I'd argue they've been taking steps in that direction anyway. People love to shit on Pokemon for just existing at this point, but when it comes right down to it, Legends Arceus was exactly the kind of gameplay shakeup the series needed, and even though Scarlet and Violet are a disaster and should not exist in the state they do, the open world style is exactly what the fans have been craving for years. If it wasn't for the performance issues, these would probably be considered the best Pokemon games in the series. There's no reason Pal World and Pokemon can't exist side by side, but Nintendo's perfectly content to use strong-arm legal tactics to give themselves an even bigger monopoly than they already have.
They're just taking this system that's supposed to protect innovation and using it to serve their own purposes, twisting the law to serve their own needs, suppressing anybody who dares come close to encroaching on their market share. That's like putting out fire with gasoline and pretending it's water. It's like making a sandwich with a big steamy turd and pretending it's peanut butter. It's like putting up mistletoe at Halloween and pretending it's Christmas. It's you, isn't it? The one who's been doing all this.
Yeah, it's me, the ghost of Halloween future.
We're doing Dickens again.
Hey, don't knock the classics.
I just wanted to get through the month without being murdered. I didn't mean for it to go wrong.
Look, it sucks that you almost got murdered and all, but you're a fool if you think you can stop Halloween just by ignoring it. October 31st will come and go no matter what you do.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just a day like any other. I'm no more likely to get murdered on Halloween than any other day.
Personally, I like to do all my murdering on Arbor Day. No one sees it coming.
Maybe I am overreacting a bit. Sure, the fact that Nintendo was even granted these patents sets a concerning legal precedent, but it's not all bad news. From a legal standpoint, these patents are already on pretty shaky ground, and so far Pocket Pair has had a really strong defense in their favor. It might not seem like it, but you actually can't just go ahead and patent every little piece of a game. In order for an invention to be patentable, it needs to be something brand new, and it has to show something called non-obviousness in the US or the inventive step in Europe. Basically, you need to prove that you did a little more than just cram two existing concepts together in a way that the average Joe in your field would have been able to do anyway. And in the case of the Pal World lawsuit, Pocket Pair has to prove that they could have done it prior to December 2021. So in their defense, they went ahead and listed over 20 examples of games from before December 2021 that also used the mechanics described in Nintendo's patents, including some of Nintendo's own games to show that these mechanics already existed and an average game developer could have put them together on their own. Securing the patents themselves is only half the battle for Nintendo, proving in a court of law that they're not, to use the legal term, total f***ing bullshit is going to be an uphill battle. Hopefully at the end of it, Pocket Pair will come out successful, and the general consensus among the other giant video game corporations will be that it's not really a battle worth fighting. And you know what? It's not impossible for the patent system to be used for the greater good. Since 2009, Sony's been sitting on a patent for interactive ads that wouldn't end until you shout out the name of the brand being advertised. This is pretty similar to Microsoft's abandoned patent, but this one is actually still active and has noticeably never been used, and since Sony owns the patent, can't be used by anyone until it expires. Considering that advertisers pride themselves on constantly finding new and innovative ways to be as annoying as possible, I appreciate that Sony's locked this one down for so long. Though whether they did it out of the goodness of their hearts or if they just realized after filing the patent that it was a fucking dumb, stupid fucking idea, we'll probably never know. What we do know is that in an uncharacteristically cool move from EA, the guys who doomed Criterion Games to make nothing but Need for Speed for the rest of eternity, they filed a patent for the ping system used in Apex Legends, but then made it freely available for anyone to use with no licensing fees. Pings are great for communicating with teammates in shooters without risking rupturing your eardrums in voice chat, and by making the patent free to use, EA ensured that no one else will be locked out of using it, unlike most other video game patents. If we saw more of this, more of the patent system being used to share ideas and tricks of the trade, rather than locking them down or trying to monetize them, we could see a lot more innovation in gaming.
I get it now. I can't fear Halloween just because of one bad experience. The holiday itself isn't good or evil, it's what you make of it. Just like how whether the patent system is good or evil depends on how you use it. That's why you made me talk about it.
Oh, I didn't do that. I was going to say that's a weird thing to do at a Christmas party.
What? Then why are you here?
I've come to warn you about some kind of imminent danger in your future.
What kind of danger?
Well, I don't know. The other girls were supposed to tell you.
Oops.
It won't be long now. Very soon I'll have my revenge. Right, that's enough of that.